Yo, what's good, ladies and gentlemen? What's good? Let's just get everything started. Today is a bit of a different start. As you can tell, there is no lead-in screen or welcome screen because, well, I don't want to. It genuinely is that simple. Nick, how you doing? Mirkas, how you doing? Mr. Colossal, how are you doing? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Of course, this is Barrens Chat episode 21. Nixie, how you doing? Welcome. Episode 21 of Barrens Chat. I can't believe we've already done 21 of these episodes. Of course, this is the show where you get to have your say on the lore. We get to discuss your theories. I always have a couple of theories up my sleeve. You know, I do have a lot of theories that just sort of roll around and constantly thinking about different things. Epic Thulu, how you doing? Token, how you doing, sir? But yeah, for the most part, it is about you and your theories, your discussions, your ideas. What is it that everyone's thinking about? There's a bunch of stuff, and, you know, oftentimes I will try and help steer the conversation. I want to give a massive shout out to everyone that supports this channel every single day by watching the videos and hitting like on the videos. Yes, that is me asking you to like the podcast. It does help out, actually. I don't know why, but YouTube likes to make likes matter. So, you know, if you do hit that like button, I'm not going to do any favors, but if I could do sexual favors for you, I would have. But yeah, please do so. Different, how you doing? Having a good morning. How about you? I mean, I've been pretty much busy the whole morning, so I've not really had I've had a morning. I can't tell you if it's good or not. It's been busy. I recorded podcasts with Ruricon up until like 2 hours ago. And then I had to go do some errands, and now we're back. Now we're here. I can't renew my membership on here. That's sad. Wait, why can't you renew the membership, Nixie? I appreciate the thought, however. So, you know, thank you for that. Oh, we should probably get some music going. Yeah, that works. Let's do a bit of music. All right, let's get this. I liked your video about Dalaran being dragged into the realm of the void. I discussed this with a guildie on Discord, and I had the same theory as you. Nice, bro. Bravey G, that is 61 months part of the DJ Nation. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you. You're far too kind. Nick, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, the problem is, of course, a lot of people are pointing this out, and I fully respect that there are people that have varying degrees of thoughts about how stuff are going. And, you know, usually when we are at the beginning of a new expansion like this, the evidence for theories is still very thin. If you think about this expansion and you really think about answers in terms of how many answers have we received yet to our questions, the answer is very little, because all Blizzard have done is, what do you mean, where have I gone? Am I not live at the moment? Next week, because I should still be here. Has the stream crashed? Or is everything good? My buddies, and they are hooked on that whole thing. You're fine? Alright, cool. What was I saying again? Gary, how you doing, sir? We were talking about something. I cannot remember what we were talking about just now. Completely out. I saw a question on Twitter, and I think the reason as to why I'm losing... let me just sit back here. I saw your question on Twitter, and I think the reason as to why I'm losing interest rapidly in The War Within is that the story feels largely unsatisfactory, and the gameplay loop is still the same garbage. So, this is definitely a topic that we should discuss. Before I even start, I want to get a general sense and feel for you guys and how you guys feel about this. How many of you are starting to experience yourself, or maybe know people that are sort of seemingly losing a bit of excitement for The War Within? Like, they were very excited when it first came out, but now they play a bit less, and they maybe, you know, Maybe they want to move on. They're just feeling a bit lost at the moment. Is there anyone here that feels that way? And the reason I bring this up is it's been a massive conversation on Twitter. And I'm seeing people that I never before saw. People who would always love the expansion, right? I'm talking people who thought Shadowlands was the best expansion that's ever come out. Matumba, how you doing, sir? And yet, even they're now sort of going, I don't know, I'm a little bored of this. I'm just not vibing with this expansion the same way than I had in the past. And I'm trying to get a sense of how many of my community feels the same way. On setting things up, which I completely understand, but it's definitely not enough to keep me interested. Okay. I'm loving the lore focus. The game will always be the same, ebbs and flows. I'm not there. I'm not. There's a ton of stuff for me to do. All right, Case, that makes sense. I'm playing less, but I won't say I'm not excited. And keep in mind, Final Fantasy 14 is my main MMO. If we could do that, that is fine. I mean, to be fair, as far as gameplay goes, they didn't change too much, but I think that's what makes it so good. It was easier to jump in because of that. Okay, I keep track of the story through you, Stefan. I'm happy to provide you with that. I've been fishing a ton, I guess. Growfall, yeah, but I don't know what the fuck you're doing in that game. Story has felt boring for me since the end of Legion. All right, that's fair. Furries and Scalies are vibing less than in the previous one because they turned their vibes off, clearly. Still happy playing every day, busy leveling all the classes. I have been doing delves still, if that counts. Granted, WoW hasn't been able to keep me hooked since Legion. I despise the endgame ever since Mythic Plus was introduced. So, I've seen this conversation really pick up speed in... No, never does. I have not. I don't really watch a lot of Marcellian and them. They do class guides and stuff, and since I don't play WoW anywhere near the level that I would need class guides, I don't generally watch Marcellian and them online. So, from my perspective and the way I think about, or what I see on Twitter, let me start there because I keep getting distracted. What I see on Twitter is sort of people becoming disillusioned with the state of the War Within. Now, I've heard from a number of people, there are some people that think the story and the lore is boring. And from that perspective, there's not much we can do. Either a story gels with you and vibes with you, to use the words of the kids, or it doesn't. And if a story doesn't vibe with you, there's literally nothing you can do. Short of basically giving someone a blowjob every single time you let them quest, there's nothing you can do. Either stories work or it doesn't work with an individual. It's very subjective. So there's no, from my perspective, the story has been phenomenal. I've really enjoyed the story, really enjoyed the side quest. You guys have heard me say this to death, right? I love the lore currently in the game. That being said, though, the majority of people I've heard really hate Mythic Plus. And I mean, hate Mythic Plus. Apparently right now, the half of the dungeons really suck with Mythic Plus. The Mythic Plus system feels incredibly uncooperative. It feels like the community itself has become beyond toxic. This is just, I'm literally just relaying to you guys what I'm told, right? Or what I see on Twitter. I don't do Mythic Plus, so I have no horse in this race whatsoever. I'm just relaying to you guys what I hear from people. The other thing that I also hear is delves. Delves apparently, and I will admit, I have felt this myself with delves. They're super fun the first few times you do them, and then the novelty very quickly kind of dies off. It's not like they become shit. It's more just the case of they're very static. You know, it's not procedurally generated, so it's not like you always get something different. The mobs are also not incredibly varied, shall we say. So it doesn't matter what tier of delve you're doing. The mobs are exactly the same. The tactics are exactly the same. So there's really very little in terms of freshness, shall we say, to the current delve system. For the rest of the world, I thought the world quests that I have done have been really fun. I kind of like the idea. I like the mix between weekly stuff that you do and also daily stuff that you do. I feel like there's a healthy balance there between stuff that you can do and stuff that you sort of, don't have to do if you don't want to. I still think the world is amazing. So from my personal perspective, I have not played World of Warcraft seriously, like on a daily basis, for 6 years. Right? Ever since Legion, really. I've not played World of Warcraft seriously. But I have played more World of Warcraft in this expansion than I have in the previous previous three. Because I'm having a lot more fun. I feel like when I log on, there's always something for me to engage in. There's always something for me to do. And I look forward to doing those things. So from my perspective, I'm having a lot more fun in the World Within than in any of the previous ones. But the question is, of course, why? Why would you guys say, even if you don't agree with it, imagine I'm asking you to play Devil's Advocate. Why would you guys say, what would be the reasons for why people might be complaining about Mythic Plus, for example? If you were to gander or wager a guess, or maybe just why people are sort of feeling a bit disillusioned with the expansion as a whole. Maybe you don't have opinions on the individual mechanisms, but maybe you can think of a devil's advocate reason for why people are generally a little bit more disenfranchised with the current expansion. I'd love to hear your thoughts before I give you mine. Okay, so the affixes, yeah, okay. Been shit, in my opinion, so I can't play Devil's Advocate. Revy, that's fair. Mythic Keystones might be a little too hard at the moment, but people do also forget the squish they made. The levels 2 to 10 is old 12, 20. So, Nick, the people I've heard complain about this are people who previously have done very high-level push keys. So I'm not talking about your average Joe can barely get a Mythic 0 done. I'm talking about guys that would previously hardcore push. They apparently don't like it as much. Never does. We can talk about it, but yes, I saw it's from Jason Schreier's newest book. So yeah, I know about all of that. Same core in-game since Warlords, or at least Legion. I would imagine they are realizing it's the same in-game, no matter the expansion. I wouldn't say that that's necessarily a bad thing. And the reason I don't necessarily think that that is a bad thing is because for many people in World of Warcraft, the consistency of what the game is actually the draw. And I know that sounds crazy. Because someone like myself, for example, that always wants something new, some new challenge, some new adventure, I can find that oftentimes it's why I don't do Mythic Plus, because I would kill myself if I had to do the same things over and over and over again. I don't like the consistent, game loop, shall we say. But there's plenty of people that do, right? There's plenty of people that actually the consistent game loop is what keeps them interested. It's that thing of almost it's cathartic in a way to know exactly what you're getting and to go for that and make that work. I just hate how some of the dungeons are way easier. Skydive Naked, how you doing, by the way? Kind of reminds me of season 1 of Dragonflight, where everybody and their mom would only do Shadow Moon Burial Grounds because it was so much easier than the other dungeons. So I'm going to say, and this really is, in my opinion, all-encompassing on all of the topics that we've discussed thus far. And that is, this expansion, it might not seem like it on the surface. If I were to tell you that this is one of the most innovative expansions Blizzard have ever made, you might go, what are you talking about, bro? We've always had all of these things. There's nothing new. But when you really drill into it, Blizzard have done a phenomenal job with the world, but a lot of the decisions they've made within the world is brand new. Blizzard have done a phenomenal job with dungeon design. And yes, dungeons have always been in the game, but the Mythic Plus system has been completely overhauled. This is no longer the Mythic Plus system of your grandma. This is a new Mythic Plus system. Raids have always been the same thing, and I don't see that ever changing. I'm assuming... I know there's been some changes to PvP, but who cares? No one plays PvP anyways. J Raven, 43 months part of the DJ Nation, appreciate ya. Thank you. You're far too kind. And then Delves, of course. Delves have been the big one, right? Delves have been the big addition to World of Warcraft, and it's also the one thing that I see almost everyone complain about is Delves. And I think a big part of that is people were expecting one thing with Delves, and they were getting something completely different with Delves. But I will explain it to you, and all of it comes in my mind to a couple of things. The first big thing, this is nothing like any previous expansion. In all other expansions, Blizzard would have about a year and a half to fix these issues. So they had to rush. These issues need to be fixed, and they need to be fixed now, because the expansion is only this long. This time around, Blizzard has almost 6 years to fix these issues. So Blizzard can take their time, make sure to, walk the path and make the changes that is required in order to get stuff to fun, because they have multiple expansions to get this shit done. The other thing is, it feels like Blizzard almost went with a more foundation approach. So instead of looking at the immediate and saying, well, we have to make it, let me rephrase and put it this way. As WoW players, we have been conditioned in World of Warcraft to expect big booms right from the get-go. As soon as the expansion comes out, we need instant action, instant sex scenes. Everything needs to be blasting at 100%, or else we leave. We don't want to play anymore. So that's Jagan. How you doing? Thanks for the follow. Really appreciate you. That is not how the War Within works. And remember, I told you guys about a month and a half ago. I told you, I think people are gonna get disillusioned because no one is ready for what the War Within is gonna bring. I told you that people were not going to be ready for it because players have been trained. Expansions kick off with a bang, and the action needs to move. It needs to constantly move. We have to go places. Now, for the first time ever, the expansion is 5 years long, because you shouldn't think of the War Within as the War Within Midnight and the Last Titan. You should think of this as the World Soul Saga. The World Soul Saga is the expansion. The War Within, Midnight, and the Last Titan are chapters or patches within the expansion that is the World Soul Saga. So all of these, it's going to be a building process, right? So where in the past you would get giant payoff towards the end of the 2 years that the expansion was going, you're now only going to get that giant payoff after 5 years, right? When the final patch for the final expansion comes out. And it feels like Blizzard very much approached almost everything that they designed with that mindset. The mindset that says, right, let's launch Mythic Plus with this new complete revamp of affixes, but also with a new philosophy. If you go and you look at the philosophy for dungeons now, dungeons are just a lot harder than what they were in the past, right? So, because the dungeon has to be pushable even after the affixes disappear. So they wanted to add more complexity to the dungeons. That's a pretty big change, because you introduce affixes on top of that, it can create serious issues, right? But Blizzard said, okay, let's go foundational. We do the basics things first. with delves. We go basics. Because if you get the foundation right, so if Blizzard spends the next 2 patches making massive changes and fixing the foundation of the system, so Mythic Plus in 2 patches from now is very fun. And delves in 2 patches from now is very fun. And maybe raids in 2 patches from now is super fun. And everything we have now is just super fun. Then you can start to build on this foundation. Right? Because you started small, you have room to grow, you have room to build. If you start at 100, so you start at the final version of the thing that you're trying to build, if that version doesn't work, you have to start from scratch. And you're almost never going to be able to start from scratch in the middle of an expansion. So you're basically then just going, well, boys, this did not work out. We don't know what to do now. And that's it, right? That's the end of the conversation. So I think there's a lot more room to grow than there's ever been before. But at the same time, I think World of Warcraft players are not really used to this as a way to build, right? Blizzard players expect more right at the beginning, and they're obviously not getting more right at the beginning. And this is something that Blizzard will have to solve through their own messaging. Blizzard will have to be honest with the player base and tell them what they're planning. Keep talking to the player base. Keep those dialogue lines open so that the player base knows what's coming and can look forward to that. But anyways, let's get to what you guys think of everything I just said. If they're going to do it, The Lost Titan would be the perfect place to do it. As what gets destroyed, you've got the complete ability to completely restart and rework. I don't expect a rework in World of Warcraft, boys. Hierarch, I absolutely agree with you, and I think that's exactly the point, right? In this expansion, Blizzard is paying a lot more attention to the journey rather than just the destination. The problem is when you have years and years and years of player education that teaches the player it's not about the journey, it's about the destination. You have to undo a lot of that work, and that's going to take time. I want a WoW 2 more than a rework, to be honest. Okay, I feel like I'm always having this conversation. Why do you want a WoW 2? What conversation is happening here? There is so much shit at the moment in WoW. Timo, that is true. But remember, so much shit in WoW means nothing. Plant-based, how you doing? So much shit in WoW doesn't mean anything, right? Because if you say there's so much shit in WoW, for who is the immediate question. Very few people in World of Warcraft do everything, right? So you get some people that maybe do dungeons and they don't do anything else. Then you get some people that do raids, but they don't do anything else, right? So very few people do everything. So when someone says, this sucks, there's fuck all to do, it's because they only do one thing, and that one thing currently sucks. Luckily for me, the story is amazing, so I love it. You know, I'm having time of my life because I don't dungeon and I don't raid, but I do like the story. I mean, too much to collect, too much mount, so nothing is special anymore. Oh, Timo, there I also agree with you. That is a complaint that I've had with World of Warcraft for a long time. It feels like, I feel like once you get to 700 mounts are no longer special. Mike, how you doing? Smoke farms making. I couldn't run out of things to do if I tried. Mike, yeah, but you're one of the few people that actually play this way. We have the numbers now, right? We have actual statistics that show us that the overwhelming majority of players in World of Warcraft don't do everything. In fact, the largest majority of WoW players, and this is something that I always hear from people, and it triggered me to no end, but, I had no evidence, so I had to just believe it. But according to Holly Longdale, the research and the data shows us, do you guys remember the old adage, no one cares about the story in World of Warcraft? Well, that's just obvious bullshit, because the data shows us that the overwhelming majority of WoW players buy a new expansion, play the new expansion, and then stop playing a new expansion after a month. Now, why would anyone do that? Because they're playing the story. The only thing they care about is the story. So, as it turns out, the overwhelming majority of players in World of Warcraft play WoW for the story, which means us nerds can demand more. We can demand more from the story than what we're getting, even though we're already getting our dick sucked on a daily basis. I mean, I'm super excited for the 20th year anniversary. POD raid looks really fun, but still. True. I think most of us play it out of FOMO. That was me with Mop. That was my least favorite expansion. Plant-based why? There is a way to make things like new mount special, but people only think they want things like that are special. The way to do it is exclusivity. Make new cool mounts that are very difficult to obtain through a mage tower-like mechanic that has the stat template, so it can't be outgeared. Then people will complain it's too hard and will be nerfed and become meaningless. But reconcile, yeah. I mean, the thing is, no one likes exclusive stuff, but if something isn't exclusive, then it doesn't matter, right? That's just facts. RS Lionstar, how you doing? 17 months part of the DJ Nation. Appreciate you. Thank you. You're far too kind, sir. So that means something completely different to me versus a new player. Matumba, I mean, the thing is, whether it's FOMO or whether it's anything else, the fact is that most players in World of Warcraft come back for the story, but then leave for everything else. So clearly Blizzard has a lot of work to do on that front in order to keep those players playing. I think Delves is a great step in the right direction, but I do also think that Delves need to evolve now. We need massive evolutions in the Delve system because the Delves can feel, after a while, they feel a little samey. There's a middle ground. Every time they nerf or buff, it's always 0 to 100. What about the way they do it in Final Fantasy XIV? Make it difficult to get, but you know that there's an eventuality when you're going to get it if you run something 100 times, and you're guaranteed that rare mount. I'd say you still earn that. Well, Mega Man, I'm not sure what you mean, because isn't that basically what WoW already does? Why they dig the core in the first war and it do not go to the core, it ends in the Spider Cave, or what core do they extract? Alright, the thing is, we're not entirely sure, right? The core way, it is a topic of massive conversation. The problem, of course, with the question, what is the core way, is there's no information about the core way. The Earthen themselves do not know who made the core way or, why it was made. I think they assume it must have been the Titans that made it. I think maybe they think they were the ones who made it. But yeah, there's literally at least nothing I have been able to find in the game that even mentions the core way outside of just that it exists, which is a little annoying, but it is what it is. I will be the first to make a video as soon as I know. I thought, how you doing? You think Locust gave Valyria her new bow? Seems powerful to crack artifact. I would not be surprised if Locust Walker may have been involved in that. I've killed authors more than 100 times and are invincible. With Final Fantasy XIV, bosses drop totems. You used to buy the items they could drop so you can counter bad luck. I don't know if I necessarily... I don't know if I agree. I don't know if I agree with that, because when it comes to gear, I think a system that allows you to eventually buy a piece of gear is the right thing to do. When it comes to mounts, I think mounts should be rare. I think they should be very rare and very exclusive. And it is just what it is. You know, what's interesting to me is how people complain about mounts nowadays. And I remember in Wrath of the Lich King, people would camp for days trying to get the Time Lost Proto Drake, and no one complained about that shit. That was just what it was. This Drake will only spawn every once in a while, and you have to be in exactly the right location in order to get it, and then that's it, right? That's the game, and people just did it. Whereas now, the thing is, people will now beg for changes. So if the Time Lost Proto Drake launched today, people would be ablaze, right? The forums would be full of people complaining, this is bullshit, how am I supposed to get this mount? And then Blizzard will make the mount easier to obtain. But once Blizzard makes the mount easier to obtain, it loses all of its value. This is why gold is gold and everyone wants it, but sand isn't gold and no one fucking wants it. Because gold is rare, very difficult to obtain. Sand is everywhere. If everyone can have it, then really no one wants it. I think personally, it's one of those things where people will always complain, even if the thing that they're complaining about is bad for them. They will still demand it. And it's up to the developer to just go, no. Elisa, how you doing? Shadows was over you, Aquilon. Chat, what do you think the Nerubians broke free, the old ones, because of the missing old god? Maybe they locked it in that crystal. My thinking at the moment is that that's probably what happened, Elisa. Rarely release of TBC and Wrath. The difference now is that everyone just bought it through GDKPS. Yeah, but there's solutions to that as well. You don't have to do it that way. You can solve that. Mount rarity doesn't just benefit those who already have it. It also benefits those who will get it in the future. Let's imagine it like this. Imagine the hottest girl you know, right? You don't have to mention who that is, but imagine the hottest girl you know, right? And you would do anything to be with this girl. She is so beautiful that if you had a chance with her, you would do literally everything or anything to win her over, all right? But now imagine tomorrow morning you wake up and every girl in the world is this girl. Is she still special? No. Because what will happen now is the beauty standard that she once held, the 10 or whatever you wanted to give her, will now automatically lower to a far lower number. And then any girl who doesn't look like her will become the better one. You might think to yourself right now, no, I will love that because it means I can date any girl and I will get the girl that I love for a week. And then you'll be tired of seeing her every single day and you will want something different, something new, right? Because remember, we're not talking love here. We're talking pure attractions, right? So there's no love yet involved in this. The reason that girl that you just imagined stands out to you is because she's unique. There is no other girl that looks like her. And that is the thing that blows you away. That is the thing that you want, that because there's no one else that's like that. If everyone else was like that, then she would no longer be special. She would just be ordinary because she's like everyone else. And then whoever isn't like her would be the special one because they're not like her. It's the same thing with mounts. I could use a more... Okay, let's use a more charged approach because I see people are struggling to follow. Imagine you spend the next week alone, completely alone. You're alone at home. On the first day, you put on a movie, any movie. Maybe it starts with a plumber arriving at the front door. You can choose. And you beat yourself to fuck, right? You have your orgasm, and as soon as you're done, you start again. And again, and again, and again, and again, and again. At what point would you literally do anything other than wank? I'm going to assume pretty quickly. Pretty quickly, you're going to be like, no, thank you. I would rather you kick me in the balls than wank again. Because it gets boring. You're no longer enjoying it because it is now too frequent. It is too ordinary. But imagine you can't wank for 2 weeks, right? And then you finally get that moment to do it. That's a special moment, right? The feeling, everything is just increased. It's heightened because it's rarer. This is exactly a 1-for-1 to mounts, to pets, to everything that you collect. If something is ordinary, it's by definition not special. If everyone has access to something easily, then by its very definition, it is not special. It cannot be special because to be special is to be rare. I know when you were growing up, your mom was telling you you're special. She was fucking lying to you, but that's where we are now, right? You're not special. You're in fact completely ordinary. The special person is the friend that is unique in a way that no one else is, right? That's the special person, and even they are painfully ordinary. In your friend who got all A's in high school, they were special, right? You were not. You were barely fucking scraping by. Your friend was special. They were getting A's in every single class. But once they get to Harvard, what happens? They become ordinary. Why? Because now they're in a school with everyone who gets all A's. And now they have to be very special in order to stand out, or else they simply become ordinary. This is the argument in mounts. You cannot tell me that it is good for the game that everyone has access to mounts. Because by its very nature, if something is available to everyone, it is no longer special. Dominus, I guess that's one way to go with it. I wank off my pets? How the fuck do we get there? Oh my god, sir, I'm the waifu. Nixie, that is true. The mounts in WoW are earned by luck. Nothing earned by luck is respected in the real world. Luck isn't something you earn. Epic Thulu, but that's just obvious bullshit. Nothing earned by luck. How do you figure? Life is equal parts effort and luck. It's 100% equal parts effort and luck. You can have two people do the exact same thing. One starts a week earlier, and they're lucky to be there at the right place at the right time, and they get the big break. There is definitely equal parts luck and effort. Now, it's like Ernie Els used to, not Ernie Els, Gary Player. He was a golf player in South Africa years ago. He used to say, the harder you practice, the luckier you get. And he's not wrong. Getting a hole in one, for example, isn't just about skill. There's a lot of skill involved, but it's not just about skill. Because if it was, there would be golfers who basically get a hole in one every single time, right? But that very rarely happens. It's why it's a big deal when it does happen. Because everything has to work out just right. But in order for everything to work out just right, you need the skill in order to do it, right? You need to be able to hit the ball straight. You need to be able to gauge how hard should I hit the ball for it to land and also go in the hole, that it doesn't go too fast or too slow, so that it doesn't fall short or go over. But then everything else is luck. At the moment you hit it, the wind calms down just long enough to where the ball makes it. If the wind didn't calm down, the ball would have been drifting off, right? All of these things are equal parts effort and luck. I would say mount farming in World of Warcraft is a similar thing. Someone who farmed an ICC mount 800 times and finally got it did have equal parts effort, at least, and luck. So they replaced skill for effort, but there was still something that they had to put in order to get it out. Now, is there going to be other people who obviously don't have to do that specifically, right? They walk in, they get it one shot, and they never have to go back? Sure, but that's the nature of life. Many people get that, right? There's many people that just happen to get a lucky break when, other people take longer. So I'm not entirely convinced that anything earned by luck isn't respected. That was Crab. How you doing? Dean, I mean, of course, right? Of course. This is famously, this is how they get you addicted to it, right? If you give a guaranteed drop rate, people will do it less, right? Because, well, why put in the effort when I know I will get it after X amount of runs? Then maybe I don't do it as diligently as I would. So, for example, if I know that I'm going to get a token every single time I clear ICC, and after 100 clears, I will get the mount, I might not do it every single week, right? Because, yes, I'm missing a week, but I'm still getting the tokens next week, so who gives a fuck? Whereas if I know it's purely luck-based, I'm going to do it. So, is it a bit scumbaggy? Yes. Is it understandable? Yes. They want you to play the game. And I hate to say it, but there are still people who run ICC, so clearly it's not a bad thing. People will complain, but I would bet that very few people would quit the game as a result of that complaint. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think that because ICC is or Invincible is very hard to get, people have actually quit the game? No, there you go. If it isn't making people quit, then I think what we need to do is bring more people. We need to bring more mounts into the game that is very difficult to get. Last Gaming, how you doing? I forget to run it simply because RNG is trash right now, and I just don't care enough to farm a mount. just a weekly lottery. The one thing that I could maybe see, although I don't know, is what if Blizzard, but that would create something bad as well, I guess. But what if Blizzard just made all raids have a daily lockout rather than a weekly lockout? Would that be a healthy compromise to you guys, or do you still want Blizzard to make mounts just guaranteed drops, or at least a guaranteed thing that allows it to drop? Do that with old raids? Yes, we had that in Mob Remix. For old raids, yeah. Let me find. Michael, how you doing? I do still try to run glory achievement runs if people go with me. Okay, Nani, how you doing? Legacy raid should be. A daily lockout sounds like a decent compromise. All right. No, but problems like that can add up until people do quit. Corey, true, which is why I'm asking, what if we keep raids as hard? What if we keep mounts as rare as they are? We make it difficult for them to drop, as we have always done. But then you make raids have a daily lockout rather than a weekly lockout. So you can spam run the raid that you want a mount in every single day. At least once. Dark Mephisto, how do you propose Blizzard do that? Why would I need any other as a DK? Making it daily would make it more interesting to do for sure. Well, there's also the argument, will these ever end up on the trading post or in the shop? So that's a whole different discussion. I do not believe that legacy raids or legacy mounts should end up on the trading post. And I've used this argument before. We just spoke about it, but we can use an actual proper argument here. Do you guys know anyone that collects classic vehicles? It's like their hobby is to buy classic old vehicles and maybe restore them or keep them just to look at them or whatever the case might be. What would happen if, let's say, for example, you owned I don't know cars very well, but let's say, for example, you owned one of the first ever Ferraris that have ever been made. It's like one of the first batch Ferraris that were ever made. You own that motherfucker. You paid a lot of money for it. It stands. You don't even drive it. It just stands in your garage so that you can look at it. And then suddenly Ferrari comes out and they start making an exact replica, indistinguishable from your original one, that they sell for a fraction of the price. Would you call that fair? Barrens Chat, I have not experienced that. But then again, I'm pretty on top of updating my drivers as soon as new drivers come out. So I have no experience with that. At least not at the moment. Heatwave, you should be asking lore questions, of course. Meta products for consumers to consume. Epic Thulu, because there is an understanding that takes place. So let's talk about the TCG stuff. And I want to be clear here. I don't have a very strong opinion on this, but I understand the morality of it. Back in the day, the only way for you to get the TCG mounts were to buy the trading cards. If you didn't buy the trading cards, you couldn't get the mount. Those mounts were incredibly rare, and some people spent a lot of money to buy those. When Blizzard comes out and they add that mount onto the trading post, it is a renege on a previous promise made. you made a promise. You said that this mount can only be obtained by buying trading cards. And I bought my trading cards in order to get this mount. Now you're reneging on your promise and saying, well, actually, no, we're going to sell it for tenders in the trading post. This is a breach of trust. You literally took the trust that we had between each other and you said, piss on your trust. I want to put this mount in because I don't have any other special mount to put in there, right? So that is a serious problem when there is this trust between us and you just renege on that trust and you don't give a shit about the fact that you just openly lied to me. And it doesn't matter that the promise was made 20 years ago. A promise is a promise. If you make a promise to me today, this would be the equivalent, right, of your wife saying to you on your wedding day, I promise that it will only be you and you forever and ever and ever. And then after 20 years, you catch her sucking another guy's dick and you go, what the fuck, dude? And she goes, dude, I promised that 20 years ago. You can't hold me to a promise from 20 years ago. He had a nice dick. I wanted to taste what it was like. Sue me, right? You weren't here. I needed a dick. Would that be a valid argument as far as you're concerned? Would you go, well, okay, fair enough. That makes perfect sense to me. Of course not, because you're not a fucking moron and you do understand what morals are when they impact you, right? The problem is that you don't see how that morality transfers to the TCG mounts and why it is scumbag what Blizzard did there. Now, do I actually give a fuck about that? Not really. I couldn't care less about mounts. In World of Warcraft, if Blizzard wants to give away all of the TCG mounts, they can do so. I just think the problem is it does make you wonder, is there anything that is sacred? If the TCG mounts are not sacred in World of Warcraft, then what is sacred in World of Warcraft? 7, you can see what money-wise? Super Mario Fantasy? Carl, what do you mean? The recolors when they bring something back? That I don't have a problem with, right? If they brought back the TCG mounts, but it was recolors of the old ones, right? So that the old one still maintains this special nature of it. And people can see this is the special one. This is the generic fucking trading post one. Sure, that's not necessarily a problem because Blizzard does have the right to use that. It's their product, right? Do I care there's in store now? No, not really. I'm so glad I didn't keep my Feldrake and what? Money is sacred. If they can make profit, they will. Players' trust no matter. They already have established army of brainwashed people who will buy everything as soon as it's out. A plumber appears at the front door from your analogy earlier. Oh, yeah. I would love to have the Brutosaur, but I'm not going to bitch about it. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to have the Brutosaur, but I'm sure it will be on the trading post at some point. So don't worry about that too much. Who wanted to ask a lore question? Romac, how you doing, sir? Sci-Fi Gamer, how you doing? I'd have a proper chuckle. Sparkles made more money than the entirety of StarCraft 2. Is it possible that the Dark Heart was the relic used to summon Dementius back in the day? Given that we have the Locust Walker quote, so it is Xalatath who has claimed the Dark Heart. I understand now why she calls herself the Harbinger. Kinda implies she will summon a Void Lord manifestation by feeding energy to the Dark Heart, right? I don't know. That is actually a good question. Heatwave. It is entirely conceivable that the Dark Heart is not from Azeroth. If you look at the architecture and you look at the nature of the Dark Heart, it does not look as if it was forged on Azeroth. We also know that the Dark Heart served as inspiration for the Dragon Soul or the Demon Soul. You can call it whatever you want. Nalfarian used the Dark Heart to craft the Dragon Soul. For some reason, he didn't want to use the Dark Heart. Maybe because, well, if I were to guess, it's because the Dark Heart only captures magic, insofar as, from what I can tell, arcane and void magic seems to be what it can capture. It can destroy and absorb, but it seems to mainly focus on arcane and void. Whereas the Dragon Soul was very specifically designed as a way to control rather than destroy. So the Dark Heart, it completely absorbs what it consumes, or it consumes what it siphons. Whereas the Dragon Soul wasn't so much about consuming; it was more about weakening and then controlling through the weakening process. So it might be that that's why Nalfarian didn't want to use the Dark Heart, because the Dark Heart would have killed the aspects, and he didn't want to necessarily kill the aspects. He just wanted full control of them. It is possible that it was Xal'atath that gave Nalfarian the Dark Heart, because Nalfarian was serving the old gods, obviously, and she was stuck in the blade, so she couldn't utilize the Dark Heart herself. The question, of course, would then be, did Nalfarian not use the Dark Heart because he was still mostly himself and therefore didn't completely trust the void and the old gods? Or, was it what I said earlier? I genuinely don't know. I cannot answer that, but I think it is a safe bet to say the Dark Heart isn't from Azeroth. Nixie, I don't even know what mount you're referring to there. There is an idea that not all of the Titans might be bad evil. There is a possibility that some of them do actually care about mortals. Zal does mention that the Titans seem united in purpose. Seem here makes us doubt if they all agree on one exact same thing. I don't know if I agree with that. My thinking around the Titans are, if you were to say that some of the Titans might not be evil and actually care about mortals, the thing that bothers me about that is there is a significant presupposition within that statement. This presupposes that the Titans are evil, or at least that the majority of them are evil, which then also presupposes what evil is without actually explaining or exploring what evil would mean in the World of Warcraft sense. Allow me to explain. Evil in World of Warcraft, I'm not talking in the world, I'm talking in World of Warcraft, evil appears to be a point of view. So when you say that is evil, my question rightfully may be, according to who? Right? Because from one perspective, we could make the argument that the orcs were incredibly evil and cruel coming through the Dark Gate and attacking the Alliance and trying to destroy or conquer Azeroth. We could make that argument. Because from the Alliance point of view, the orcs were evil. However, when you go to the orcs' point of view, even if they were not mind controlled, or not mind controlled, but under the influence of the demons, their world was still dying. And conquest is part of their culture. They've conquered each other multiple times over. So for them, this was simply a battle on equal footing, right? So it is a question of evil according to whom, especially in World of Warcraft. Now, when you say the Titans are evil, the presupposition of evil is already baked into the claim. But as I've just explained, evil in World of Warcraft is subjective. It depends on the position. But then there's also the other problem is that you're already presuming that these Titans are in fact evil. But as I've explained, the origin of evil on World of Warcraft isn't so easy as just saying, well, they want to do evil things to me, and therefore they are evil. No. They might not give a shit about you, but that doesn't necessarily make them evil. From the Titans' perspective, they are not evil. In fact, from the Titans' perspective, they are righteous. They are doing what is right for the universe. And they have a much grander plan than for us mortals on Azeroth. We are very much focused on our existence and our continued existence, right? This is the only thing we give a fuck about. We want to live. The Titans, at least from what they say, so we're not going off of my speculation theories about their ideas for Azeroth, what they say, the Titans care about the whole of the cosmos and the balance and order of the whole of the cosmos. So from their perspective, their angle of view is so much larger that we almost fade into the background within this much larger view. So if they have to kill a bunch of mortals in order to order the universe, then that is a price that they would obviously willfully pay without much problem. We would view that as very evil, but from their perspective, this is how it should be. Now, may some of the Titans be better than the others? I doubt this. Because we have in Dragonflight one of the time travel events where we go back to an Azeroth where Sargeras didn't pull the Titans away from Azeroth. In one of these futures, or in one of these timelines, rather. Because remember, the Titans arrived on Azeroth, did a bunch of stuff, and then started ordering the planet.
Thank you.
At this point, the Titans find out that, oh, crap. Camilla, 17 months part of the Legion Nation, appreciate you. Thank you. At this point, the Titans receive word that Sargeras is about to destroy all life in the universe, and the Titans need to leave. So their great work here on Azeroth, the ordering of Azeroth, is interrupted. Instead, what they do is they leave their watchers and their servants here on Azeroth, but these servants and watchers clearly don't really have the same abilities as the Titans. And so all they can really do is preserve the work that the Titans have already done. They can't really continue the work of the Titans, okay? So, but in one of these different timelines, the Titans were not called away from Azeroth, and so order was complete on Azeroth. And we know that in this timeline, there is virtually no mortal life. In fact, the question is raised, they don't even know if mortals would be able to survive on this planet because of the ordering of the Titans. So then you ask yourself, do some of the Titans actually care about mortal life? And the answer is they didn't seem to in the other timeline, so I'm not sure why they would in this one. Does that mean that the Titans will just automatically kill all mortals always on Azeroth? No. If our survival is beneficial to the Titans, then we'll survive. If our survival is not beneficial and actually stands in the way, then we will not survive. Another question that I got that I thought was a very interesting one was about the Titans and whether or not the Titans are in fact first ones. Or if we could maybe say that the first ones are just Titans. And so all of this is just a bunch of hoopah, a bunch of emptiness. My answer there would be no. To anyone that might be wondering about this, all of the lore appear to suggest, at least, that the first ones are greater than the Eternal Ones, and the Eternal Ones are clearly on par with the Titans. Not only that, but we know that the Titans also have a Zeroth Ordis realm that they don't want us mortals to know about, and we already know why they don't want us to know about it, because they say that. Our brains are not sophisticated enough to understand Zeroth Ordis and what happens in Zeroth Ordis, right? So that's why we're not allowed to know about Zeroth Ordis. I personally think the Titans were created by the first ones, but the Titans are not first ones. Purely because the Titans are... I was reading this post on Reddit just before the live stream started. Someone said they highly doubt that Amanthul could defeat a tree that was standing there doing nothing. And the reason for it is, Amanthul got his shit kicked in by Sargeras. And then Amanthul again managed to do fuck all against Argus. Remember, he tried to cast a time lock spell around Argus, and Argus was just like, bitch, please. And then we as mortals had to fight Argus because Amanthul was completely useless in anything that he tried to do. Right? So fundamentally, I don't think that there is any lore that supports the idea of the Titans and the first ones being connected or related to one another. The Titans also, in my opinion, are not intelligent enough to have been the first ones. Because when I look at the Titans and I look at the Watchers, the Titans very much look like Watchers to some other being. Because they act very similar to the Watchers. They're very, I was made for this purpose, so I fulfill this purpose. And I don't fulfill any other purposes because this is the purpose that I was made for. Which, of course, I don't think the first ones would think that way. But I could be wrong. That's just my thinking on it. I say think a lot there. The Jailer is Titan++, according to Ian, one of the developers said it. Yeah, but I don't think... No, I don't... I think they decided to not have that one be the actual story. Well, we don't know what the first ones are, right? So there's no way of knowing. Well, Ronan, the thing is, the first ones that we know of were even before the Eternal Ones. So the Nathrazim would not be that, because before the Nathrazim was created, Denathrius was first created. And then whoever created Denathrius, that would be the first ones. No, we are not above Titan++. Perhaps in scope, but not in function. The Titans are like cooking utilities. They follow the programming. The first ones were the cooks. If we're correct about the first ones. Nixty, you know I do. Pyromaniac, how you doing? You all know I think Illyria and Zaratath may be the same person. I mean, I've made the videos. I have stamped my seal of approval on that theory. Now, do I think that theory could be wrong? Yeah, of course. There's actually evidence that I myself can come up with that maybe shoot that theory right in the dick. But I still think that it is a solid enough theory, at least for now. We'll see how the story plays out in the months to come. Epic Thulu, no, the Titans were physically on Azeroth. At least at the time that they ripped Yisraj out of the planet and so on and so forth. They were physically here. I do think Kyle, you bring up a good point. I think Chris Mason has a lot of work, Kyle, to do, because there is a natural question that we as players have to ask ourselves, and that is, what is and is not canon anymore? With the departure of Steve Denuser and the coming on of Chris Mason, where do we draw the canonical lines in World of Warcraft? Is the Shadowlands still canonical? Now, there are some things from the Shadowlands that Blizzard seems to have kept, but then there's also a lot of storylines from the Shadowlands that Blizzard have almost completely let go of. Right? So, what do you keep? From my perspective, the first thing that you have to completely do away with is the jailer being behind everything. The concept that the jailer has been pulling the strings literally from the start. The jailer has been playing Sargeras, playing Sylvanas, just playing everyone. To me, is an incredibly limiting story trope, and also does not keep. It's not within keeping of the characters that he mind controlled. So if you told me that the jailer simply mind controlled Arthas, I can believe that. If you even told me that the jailer managed to mind control Anduin, I would believe that. But think of the character that they chose to make the jailer mind control. Or fool. Sylvanas. Now, he never mind controlled her, but he fooled her. Now, why, chat, do you think I have a problem with the concept that the jailer managed to fool Sylvanas? What possible reason do you think I could have for not liking it? Sylvanas is the most distrusting individual in the whole of Azeroth. Maybe just Matthias Shaw would be more distrusting than Sylvanas. If you think about Sylvanas' entire history, you think about her entire story, Sylvanas has been betrayed. She understands betrayal better than anyone. She would be the last person to just blindly follow power. Especially considering the fact that she knew, according to them at least, that the jailer is the one that made Arthas. So the entire story simply falls apart on that front. And then you compare that to Sargeras, and if you think that there is a more distrusting character than Sylvanas, then that would be Sargeras. He trusts no one, right? And he's also considered to be a strategist. So he is intelligent, very intelligent. And somehow the jailer also managed to play him to a T. The entire storyline is just nonsense. Now, so that's the first one that I would just completely let go. I would then probably also start sprinkling in a bit of whispers about the Primus. I think that there is more than enough evidence within the Shadowlands that the Primus is at least a questionable character. Does that mean that the Primus is just a full-blown bad character? No, I'm not saying that. But there is definitely questionable activity within the Primus. So I would like Blizzard to maybe lean on that and have the Primus be a bit more of a villain-esque kind of character. I think we should then also have... now, keep in mind here that all of the suggestions I'm making here is trying to keep the Shadowlands largely intact. Not all of the stories can survive, because I think that there are storylines like the Sylvanas one that is just unsalvageable. I don't know how you sell that story to the player base that makes it believable, So I do think some storylines you would just have to fuck off and say, well, clearly that's not going to work for us. But for the most part, I'm trying to keep it in sort of largely intact, and I want to make it work at least to the best of my ability. On that, I would say start sprinkling doubt about the operations of the Shadowlands. You already have the groundwork for this laid in Bastion. What happens in Bastion? Aspirants arrive in Bastion, and then their memories are wiped. Those who fail to completely lose their memories are then sent to re-education camp, where their memories are maybe forcefully removed them. We never actually got to see what happens in the Temple of Re-Education. It has a different name, but I can't remember what it's called now. But you have to go to this temple. And so clearly Blizzard wanted originally to make Bastion a questionable place, which for some reason the newser decided, nah, never mind. We will not be doing that anymore. So I do think there is definitely, and yeah, it is odd that the memory wiping of Bastion and the memory wiping of the Earthen is done very similarly, right? It's like, almost like, these Titans and Eternal Ones really don't like people thinking for themselves. Then you look at Revendreth, and Revendreth also very questionable in the things that they do. You look at the Necrolords, more than enough evidence there that the Necrolords may have in fact acted upon less than noble missions and may have done less than noble things during their time. So I personally, the only realm that I think you can largely keep as is would be Ardenweald, even though there might still be a couple of questions with Ardenweald, like, for example, its connection to the other side. Why exactly Loa are also born in the Ardenweald might be something that you want to explore a little bit more before you make that canon. But I do think you are in sort of like a prime position. And this is very rare that you can actually say this, just FYI. Blizzard finds themselves in the prime position to retcon an expansion and have the players celebrate the reckoning. This happens very rarely. Most of the time, people lose their shit when things are retconned. But Shadowlands is so universally despised by the player base that if you retconned it, most players would actually celebrate that rather than be annoyed by it. So I do think this, if there ever was a moment or an opportunity to retcon an expansion, this is the one. This is the one that Blizzard should go with right now. But I also think sooner rather than later would be my bet. You want to get it done as quickly as you can. The whole of Shadowlands is akin to raw material right now. It could be completely rewritten, that it could be used in so many ways. True. I think WoW needs to stop separating expansion stories between novels and the game itself. Hey, Big Thulu, I mean, that's a healthy discussion that we've had many times before. I am not all aboard the novel hate train. I refuse to get on that train. Just because, and I know this is a very unpopular opinion, and I apologize. I don't even apologize. I don't feel sorry about this. I think that there are certain stories that are better told in books. I think that there are some stories that a game can tell very well, but I think fundamentally there are stories that is just better in a book. And you would be doing the story a disservice if you try to tell the story in the game. Now, that does not mean, and I need to say this and people need to hear me, what I am not saying is that you should have to read a book in order to understand what is happening in the game. That is not what I'm saying, because that would be a severe failure of storytelling. You should be able to follow the story of the game by only playing the game. What you should do with novels is color in and provide deeper context of stories for those of us that actually care. Because not everyone gives a shit, right? But there are some people that really care about individual stories, and kind of like the stay a whiles and listens, you put them in novels. Does that make sense? How many people did I just make angry? The Brumos, it is a cash grab, but the thing is, every single one of the WoW books are written by an actual writer that needs to be paid, right? And from Blizzard's perspective, it's a business thing. If I'm making the investment to get an author to write a book, I want to be paid for that, right? I want to at least recoup my costs. It's also important to note, and I only found this out a few days ago, not all WoW books actually turn massive profits, contrary to popular belief. Some do, so there are WoW books that make lots and lots of money, but some barely break even in terms of how much Blizzard spent on the author, printing and production, and then actual sales. Sometimes they barely break even. So it is sort of like a bit of a gamble. The Brumos, I'm not sure, but I do think writers get paid pretty well. I imagine they do get a pretty penny. So I don't think they would do it if they were getting paid peanuts. You're probably easily looking at a 10% commission, maybe, on the book sales. Maybe it's less. I don't know. I've never written a book. I'm in the process of writing a book, but I've never published one, so I have no idea actually. I just read them, and I don't really read about the business of them. So maybe someone here can tell us. Do we have any writers in chat? Is there anyone here that is a writer or has written stuff in the past that maybe has some information for us on how exactly does the writing stuff work? Getting paid a whole sum, or they are given a percentage as an author myself. Writers can also take a lot of flack from fans that dislike the lore changes they do. True. I mean, specifically in the WoW community, you have to have hair on your dick in order to write for WoW. Like, the WoW lore community is fucking harsh. The Blizz does most of the business stuff for the writers too. Percentages are normal. Yeah, but the question is, what's the percentage, right? Is it 10%? Is it 15%? Is it 20%? Because, yeah, if you're a writer, what are you... I guess it's... I don't know if it's a flat rate. It'll probably be some kind of negotiated rate. And it's going to depend on the writer, but also depend on the quality of the writer. Which, if... I wanted to make a joke, but I feel like in the WoW community, many people won't take the joke. People will just get offended. 3% of the writers and not a penny more. The CEO needs his yacht money. The Avengers, they don't have to do that, though. No, they're probably not broke. You're right. But, I mean, if you ever wonder why the last few WoW books have all been written by women, it's because it's cheaper. I only published 2 books. I cannot speak for the entire industry, though, but that is usually discussed. Publishing houses are all different. True. All right, my hubby and my Twitch babies, I gotta go. I'll come watch what I missed later. Nixie, take care of yourself. Thanks so much for hanging out. Really appreciate it. Good luck. But yeah, look, I genuinely think that the women in charge right now are making WoW fun. Barrels Chat, what do you mean? US work laws, yeah. It's illegal to pay women less than men, just to be clear. It's going to be a thing that they negotiate, and if a woman is willing to take less money to write the book, that's on her. She should have negotiated for better pay. But it is illegal in the US and elsewhere. It has been illegal since the 70s. The fans of AD&D lore we're not forgiven. Wait, we're not forgiving the Elestra, one of the most popular gods, getting murdered over a series of novels. What? What do you mean? Michael, I'm not sure what we're talking about here. But that was a joke, just FYI. Before people are losing their shit, that was the joke. The joke was that they're hiring women to write the books because you can pay women less. It's a joke. There is a depressing lack of new male authors, and women are dominating the fantasy genre at the moment. I mean, if they write good, that's fine. Christy Golden is a good writer. I don't like her writing style, but she is a good writer. Madeleine Roux, I really enjoyed Shadows Rising. She was a phenomenal author. I don't like her politics, but I like her writing style. She was very good. So I don't really give a fuck. It's very rare that I will look at the author of a book. I usually care more about the book itself, right? So if the book is written by, or if it's like a Warhammer 40k book, I will absolutely read it. And I couldn't give two shits who writes it. World of Warcraft books, the same thing. You know, I will read it. I don't care who writes it. I don't really have like favorite authors in that way. Just one final boss. You can try to cancel me. Many people have tried in the past. It's never stuck. Maybe this one will work, you know? Jennifer, I don't have favorite authors, but I do have authors that I can't stand, and Stephen King would be one of those. I can't stand that fucking asshole. To escape death, to return to power after the second sundering. Dude, what are you guys talking about? Any loyalist centered book written by Aaron Dembski Bowden should be skipped. Ravy G, yeah, I know a lot of Warhammer fans have strong opinions on the books. Jennifer, yeah, I'm just not a fan of the dude himself. He makes an absolute fool of himself the whole time because he's completely politics brained to the point where I follow him on Twitter and he will just say things that I go, but that's obviously a lie. What are you doing? And he just says it because why not? So yeah, I don't know. I lost a lot of respect for the guy because he just keeps mouthing off about stuff. Yeah, Stephen King. Did you ever play through the Warcraft 3 campaign? Oh, dude, fuck me. What are you talking about? That's how I got into WoW. Was Warcraft. Yeah, I played through Warcraft 2 and Warcraft 3, and I loved every second of it. Is off-putting, same as Madeline. Yeah, Madeleine Roux, also very off-putting, but good writers. I have nothing against the writing, although I'm not a horror fan, so I don't read horror and I don't watch horror movies. But yeah, it's fine. You know, either way. Sanderson is my current non-legacy favorite author. I have no idea who that is. Don't use names with me. It's like when you guys talk to me about actors. You need to give me the character that they played or the book that they wrote. I have no idea about names. I couldn't care less. If these people died tomorrow, I would not know. JK, wait. JK Rowling another dickhead, but a good writer? What? JK Rowling? Are you talking about JK Rowling? Yeah, she's a great author. I mean, she's she's made her fucking stones. You know, she's made a lot of money. I'm gonna give two fucks about her Twitter or what she tweets. She has the right to feel the way that she feels, and people have the right to not agree. It is what it is. I don't care. I don't pay attention to authors and others unless it's their artwork. You did like Dark Imperium, right? Of course I like Dark Imperium. It's how I got into the Warhammer 40k universe, Raven G. Huge fan. His Stormlight archives have some of the best male characters. He writes in a way that honors masculinity and the struggles of being a man. Oh. I might check it out. Although right now, there's only one book I want to read, and that's Exodus. Those of you that were there yesterday during the stream will know exactly what I'm talking about, because we went balls deep on Exodus yesterday. I really want to read Exodus. Is there anyone that has more WoW questions? Because we're talking about everything but WoW at the moment. Michael, I really dislike all horror. So I don't like feeling tense. So when I don't play horror games because they make me feel tense. I don't watch horror movies because they make me feel tense. I want to relax. When I'm doing anything, I want to feel relaxed. And I don't feel relaxed when I'm playing scary shit. Jennifer, what's the question? We can talk about that as well, Tubor, if you want. Do you think they will bring back Arthas in the third expansion since it's Northrend? Fighting Spirit, someone asked me this last week, so you can go check out last week's stream for that video specifically, or for that topic, or I will probably have a video out about that topic, because I was asked this, and I won't be going through it again, because it's a long conversation, but I can see them bringing him back. The question is how. It all depends on what happens when you die in the Shadowlands, right? Frozen Solid, there's nothing left according to whom. Again, we're told that once you die in the Shadowlands, you're dead. But that could literally be a lie, right? That could be a massive lie. I have a question that I just saw on Twitter, and now I want to ask all of you. Chat, get your fingers on your keyboards. It's time to chat profusely. This is a very important question. Because I just saw it raised on Twitter. Android or iPhone? Peter, how are you doing, sir? I like that I have a based chat. I like that most of the people in my chat is fucking based. What do you mean neither, Kiki? You can't have neither. Do you not have a fucking phone? Do you still use a walkie-talkie? You know the price for a third the functionality? True. I don't have a phone, if that's the question, since an ad hit. Wait, you don't have a phone? How can you not have a phone? Ace, how you doing, sir? I use a flip phone. No, you fucking don't. Where do you even get a flip phone? I can't get a flip phone here in South Africa. No one sells them anymore. Androids have less functionality. Bro, what? Hey, Epic Thulu, you've had some fucking questionable takes in your time, sir. But that one? What? Androids have limited functionality? Bro, everything your iPhone can do, the Android can do, and better. Like, 100% better. Bag, wow, how you doing, sir? They have less functionality. You don't have to pay Apple for a fucking charging port. You've been smoking some real bad shit lately. True. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think if you're using iPhone, you are gimping yourself. You should switch to Android because I promise you, life is a hell of a lot better on the side of Android than what it is on the Apple side of things. Life is so much more freeing. We have so many more apps. Pretty much everything works on Android right out of the gate. It's so much more freeing because you can talk to everyone and you don't have to worry about bubble colors of your fucking chat messages. It's just a message, bro. Just read it and reply whenever the fuck you feel like it. And also, you're not locked into nonsense from Apple. You can use anything. Put it as a gift for my workplace. Oh, right, Kiki. I wonder if you're using an iPhone, I think less of you say, holy fuck, Zivages. I want to go that far. Like, bro, I don't think less of you is a human if you're using iPhone. I just think you should switch to Android. But that is fucking, that's a bit far. I wouldn't go that far. Can we agree on something? I switched from Android to iPhone 4 years ago and never looked back. It's because you don't know how to look back. The iPhone is too full of bugs and shit for you to even pay attention to anything else. Read my stuff I already have. Some people, iPhones are a status symbol. Brokies cosplaying wealthy people. All I know for a fact is I will never buy an Apple product ever. No Apple product ever would get my money. You can take flip phone from Bulgaria. I'm iPhone user, but not fan of the company. Don't even update iOS because I don't like what they do in the updates. I've had both, and I just like the iPhone better. Savan, I don't believe you. I think you just got an iPhone by accident, and now you're convincing yourself that it's fine. I like this, actually. Moniaco, Alpha, how you doing, sir? Is Loon the enemy of all from the Whispers? No, I don't think so. I think the enemy of all truly is Zuval. I think that's the game, at least, seems to be hinting at Zuval. But it could just be Death, right? Because the enemy of all is from the perspective of the Titans. And I'm not sure if they are from the Void. Sorry, from the perspective of the Void. And I don't think they give too much of a shit about Elune, at least not at the moment. Yeah, I see that. I see it's buggy. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on there. My case, that's true. To debloat, I might like it better then. Wait. Debloat what? An Android? Why do you need to debloat your Android? I have an Android and it's working just fine. Peter, the question about Anshay is an interesting one, right? If you ask Pyromancer, he will tell you that Anshay is Sargeras. The problem with Anshay is that outside of the Tauren, now, when it comes to Elune, we have confirmation of the existence of Elune in the version of the Tauren that talk about Musha, right? Anshay, on the other hand, it's just the Tauren that speak of Anshay. No one else, from what I know at least, has any sort of mention of Anshe as being a thing. It's just the Tauren. So it is possible that it is just a fable, right? This is just the story that the Tauren have, and they based that story on the fact that they knew Elune, and they knew that Elune was connected to the moon, and they just assumed that if the moon is a being, then so must the sun be, right? So it was an assumption that was made based on deductive reasoning. Because I would at least want to see one bit of confirmation before I just dive into believing that Anshe is real. Because outside of the Tauren fables, we really don't see any evidence of Anshe, right? Oh, wait, but I know for a fact this is what you guys are talking about. You're talking about America, where apparently American companies load your phones with bloat and bloatware. We don't have that. At least not from what I know. So if I go on my Android and I look at the apps that came pre-installed on it, right? It's Chrome, Gmail, Maps, YouTube, Drive, YouTube Music, Meet, and Photos. Those are the only apps. Oh, and then there's Samsung Wallet, but it only does anything if you actually use it. So yeah, there's literally almost no bloat. The phone was completely empty when I got it. It takes it for freaking ever to even start up on my tablet too. Most of which you can't disable on the OS itself. The only way was with ADB tools and a command line. Shit. Like I preloaded a bunch of apps and random games and stuff. But now you have a Windows app to do it? Oh. Okay. Peter. Maybe. I was going to say, what if Balador is Anshe? But no, I don't like that theory, and I don't have any evidence for it. I will say there is a significant chance that Anshe is real, considering I don't think the Tauren just invented Musha by accident, right? I don't think that was an accident. I think they knew that Musha existed. And so it is possible that Anshe existed at a point as well. My only problem, again, would be, why do we never see anyone worship Anshe except for the Tauren? We see the Night Elves and they worship Elune. But why does no one actually worship Anshe? Anyone with any ideas can comment on this. They haven't seen her feet yet? Yeah, but Anshe would be a dude. I'll ask a question regarding embellishment. Yeah, of course, Real Pokey. Yeah, they haven't seen his feet yet then? Would Blizzard show us Anshe's feet? Wasn't it just Xalatath's feet? Because they thought the player base would really respond to Xalatath's feet? And I mean, not gonna lie, if you go to Rule 34, apparently there's a lot of people who's going apeshit for Xalatath's feet. Seems to me the elemental focusing lanes doesn't stack. Real Berkey, wait. What does the damage is exactly the same as when I had one? So Real Berkey, I need to know what exactly does it do, and why would you need it to stack? Do you have two of the same ring? So you have both of the rings as elemental rings. Have you gone into your logs to check the proc rate? Because the logs will tell you if there's been... the logs will tell you if there are multiple... So what can happen, and this does happen from time to time, is that things can share cooldowns. So a good example of this would be if you have two unused trinkets. Some of them, I don't know if it's all of them, but I know that some of them can't be used at the same time. Because as soon as you use one, the other one will also go on a short cooldown, like let's say 5 or 10 second cooldown. So it is completely useless to have two unused trinkets if they work in the same way. So it is possible that when the one procs, the other one also goes on an eternal cooldown. So you have this... You have the problem, you have both rings, but the game treats it as if it's just the one ring. It sees the proc, it knows the proc happened, and it locks the proc from happening again until the cooldown period is over. Whatever that internal cooldown would be. So it is definitely worth... this is why I always tell people that want to raid or do dungeons, get yourself Warcraft logs, get yourself the add-on for Warcraft logs, just so you can look back, and go, wait, is this actually proccing? And then if you see it never actually procs, then you know, okay, this is a problem. Hashil, how you doing? 2 months part of the DJ Nation. Appreciate you. Thank you. You're far too kind, Hashil. It might turn Wowhead or Blood Mallet if it shares an internal and the RPPM. Yeah. And Anshe was injured and has been in recuperation. Wait, I feel like I'm missing something, Dean. On Night Owl's a matriarchal society, so that might be why they focus on Elune. Yeah, but it still doesn't explain why no one else worships Anshe. I'm not suggesting that it has to be the Night Owls, but someone else needs to be worshipping Anshe, no? Because, yeah, right now it's literally just the Tauren. They're the only race that seem to give a shit about Anshe. Everyone else just cares about Elune. The Eternal Sun guides us. Blood Owls say it all the time. Yeah, but Zenith, they never claim that the Eternal Sun is their god. The only reason they would say the Eternal Sun guides us because of the sun well. Because they need the sun well, right? Now, could it be that Anshe is connected to the sun well? That's possible. Could it be that the Blood Elves serve Anshe without necessarily knowing that Anshe is their god? Also, very possible.
I'm built to suck your dick.
Oh shit! Hi Ark with the $30, dude. Really appreciate ya.
Helps me relax while I do my job. Love your thoughtful and balanced opinions.
Hi Ark, thank you so much for the $30. Really appreciate you, and it is my absolute pleasure, bro. It is my absolute pleasure. I love hanging out with you guys, and I love talking about the WoW lore and life and all the rest of it. And of course, the donations and the super chats and the memberships and the subscriptions, it really helps out. So I really appreciate all of you for supporting the channel and for oftentimes going above and beyond anything that I could even imagine to ask. So I really appreciate you guys. Drinaman, how you doing? Why? But you seem a bit off today? I seem off? I think I'm a little tired. I haven't slept a lot. I kind of lay awake until 1 o'clock last night, and then I had to be up again at 5:20 to go to book study. Or I guess let's call it Bible study, but it's a book study. So yeah, I've not slept much. It might be that, but I feel good. I feel fine. I'm just a bit tired. Do you all think the Titans are actually evil or just not bothering to explain things to mortals? Jennifer, I had a massive discussion about that, but like maybe like an hour ago. But I'll just quickly say, I don't think they're evil. You'll see my video about that, I promise. That video will be out. But no, I don't think they're evil. When I say they're evil, it's usually just in regards to what I'm talking about. But if you ask me, do I think the Titans are absolutely evil? The answer is no, of course not. I do not see Akko as being off today, but I have only been part of the show for an hour. Palpy, why? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Ilun is called Musha, so Anshe should have a different name for the elves, assuming he wasn't incapacitated when they formed a society. Yeah, but the problem is they don't have any other gods. The Night Elves famously just worship Ilun. They have other paragons, like Ysera, for example, but that's still not... They didn't worship Ysera. Why not? Sargeras isn't known for being nice? Wait, Michael, how is Sargeras coming into this? Titans are evil. Alpha, okay. Can I get by a show of hands, how many of you think the Titans are evil? Yeah, if you're saying that they are evil, my question is, according to or from which perspective? From which or whose perspective are they evil? Are you claiming that they are evil objectively, or are you simply saying from, our perspective? I just think they're cunts. Now, there I agree with you, Roaming Firebat. Evil is opinion. They size out of our version of good and evil. Yeah, I agree with that. Roaming Firebat, how you doing, sir? The lies to mortals? To me, doing morally wrong things over and over makes you evil. But Mike, so my problem with that would be, what is morally evil things in World of Warcraft? Now, I'm going to steer clear of the moral debate because that's a much larger debate. Because basically for the last 150 years, there's been a giant philosophical debate about morality and whether or not morality exists. So, I will be steering clear from that argument. That's why I keep it in WoW. But if you say, so in order to make a moral claim upon something, there must be an established baseline claim. In other words, there must be a universality to the claim. So I must be able to say that it is universally evil for you to kill, for example, in WoW. And not true, obviously. But Dean, that's the problem, right? If you say your society establishes what morality you follow, then by its very nature, the Titans cannot be evil. Because their society established a specific set of morals that they would follow. And just because your society does not set the same amount of, or the same type of morals for you to follow, doesn't make theirs wrong or right. It just means you guys have different morals. So, for example, if I live in a society where I can chop off your head if we disagree with each other, and that is perfectly fine as long as I first took a handkerchief and threw it at your feet, you can't do shit to me, right? If I come and do that to you, I followed all of the rules that my society laid out to allow me to chop off your head, right? So by its very nature, that means the Titans cannot be evil. It is impossible to establish evil because they're not part of your society, right? I mean, there in World of Warcraft, you run into a bunch of other problems because in World of Warcraft, the Horde and the Alliance can't even really agree on what would be considered moral. I'm disturbed a bit by all genocidal quests we are expected to do. Maybe we should not kill all suspects until we find the thief. Michael, in World of Warcraft, I'm actually one of the few people that say, no, kill first, ask questions later. Partly because we're dealing with NPCs that don't matter anyways. But I'm more than happy to slaughter an entire village in World of Warcraft, women and children included, just to find out that actually the bad guy already left the village. And then I move on and I leave a trail of blood as far as I can fucking go until I've killed the guy that I need to kill. To be fair, whenever I quest, it is an absolute massacre. Like, if WoW was real, my body count would be insane. Because I kill everything as far as I go. It's WoW. It's a game. It doesn't matter. It's not real. If objective moral values do not exist, then everything is allowed because nothing is objectively wrong. True. I think it is easy to say the Titans want to order us rather than asking if they are evil. There I agree with you. The Titans, the question we should be asking isn't, is the Titans good or evil? It's a difficult question that's just going to lead to a lot of conversation. The question we should be asking is what the Titans want for the cosmos what we want for the cosmos? So in other words, does the Titans' vision of the cosmos align with our standards of living? Oh, I do the same thing in Elden Ring as well. I slaughter everything over and over again, even when you technically shouldn't be playing it that way. I kill everything, bro. Do we want to be fully ordered? Probably not. Dean, I agree with you. And in that sense, we can say that the Titans' goals does not align with us, right? Elisa, I like how you just snuck that in right there, right? Before I could even finish my fucking sentence, Eliza or Elisa, not sure how to pronounce your name, just goes, not at all. Titans are evil. Easy. Bro, we've settled the debate. Do we want what the Titans want to give us? Nope. Evil fucks. Kill them all. Now, I don't mind. I would like to kill the Titans too. I just don't like when we call them evil. When I don't think... Because if you call them evil, you have to call all of the cosmological forces evil. And what I find very often is that most people don't want to do that. Very control freakish and taken free will. I don't have to explain more. That is true. I mean, Amanthul would literally be the equivalent of a very controlling boyfriend, if you think about it. Manabans, how you doing? Music Dummer, how you doing, sir? What are the odds an old god is locked up in the star? Drew, I would say low-ish, but not impossible, because I do have a theory that suggest there might be the king of all old gods maybe locked in that star. So finally, sir. It's like all the other Titan constructs doing their original function of protecting Azeroth. True. I want Illidan to literally be the last Titan. Wait, how the fuck can Illidan be the last Titan? I don't think Illidan can be the last Titan, actually. Unless you know things I do not. Illidan does not have the... Dude, I remember looking at that cinematic of Illidan waiting on the Pantheon like a little bitch boy. He's going to control Sargeras. And I remember just looking at it going, dude, Sargeras could squash you like a bug. Like, what on earth are you going to do against Sargeras? The man has cleaved entire planets in half. There is no way that Illidan is fighting Sargeras. No shot. Fusion with Sargeras? He's going to come back? Oh, I do think Sargeras and Illidan is going to come back. That I definitely believe. All right. 5 minutes, boys. 5 minutes on the clock. You may ask anything. We'll do a quick fire round. If you have any questions, now would be the time to ask. Mosquitoes can be annoying. Always. Then what? You're leaving? Yes, Saban. We're 2 hours in. The podcast is 2 hours. The problem is whenever I make the podcast longer, people who watch the podcast afterwards say it's too long. So 2 hours seems to be the sweet spot. Anything longer than that, and people sort of go, dude, this is too long. Which I kind of get. But also, I can't do all of the theories in one show because then we'll never have another show. Often disregarding the unique paths mortals might take to evolve, thrive, or overcome adversity. I like the way you think, Eliza. The Titans impose rigid order on mortal worlds, stifling free will, creativity, and adaptability. There's strict control limits, growth, and mortal potential. What are your plans for this coming month? Any fun stuff planned IRL? Eliza, fun stuff planned IRL? No, not really. Just work. I do have... I have a birthday coming up next week. Oh, I do have something fun planned. Tomorrow, I'm starting my first day in chef's training. It sounds more fancy than it is. I'm going to be working at a restaurant 2 days a week to learn how to be a chef. Just to see if I like it. I don't really want to be a chef, but I do want to open my own restaurant. And I want to see if I actually like working in a restaurant. So I'm going to be doing that. I managed to negotiate myself a lovely position for 0 pay. Just so that I could check it out and see if I like it. So I'll be doing that tomorrow. And then on Mondays also. But tomorrow is just till 1 o'clock. And then Mondays is till, I think, 6 o'clock. From 8 o'clock to 6 o'clock. So I'm really looking forward to that. Other than that, I don't have any real plans. I have a birthday next weekend. And then the weekend after that, I have a girl and her boyfriend from church coming over. Because we're going to be making pizza. And I'm going to teach her how to make her own dough. Because I can make a pretty mean pizza dough, if I do say so myself. And then the week after that, I have a dinner date at Texas barbecue, at a place that does Texas barbecue. And then I don't know when this is, but at some point in this month, one of the other girls at church wants to have a picnic at the botanical gardens. So we're gonna do a picnic at the. That's the plans for this upcoming month. If you start a restaurant, you will not have time for anything else. It is very demanding to run restaurants. Oh, Michael, yeah, but I want to do it, right? I've always wanted to own my own restaurant. And so I might just, what I'll do is I'll set up cameras in the kitchen and we'll just stream from the kitchen. You guys will just watch me cook. So yeah, going a boyfriend from church sounds so wrong. How does it sound wrong? Her boyfriend and I are friends, right? I am friends with her as well. They want to come over. And it's not just them. It's like them and my brothers and another girl and her daughter that's coming. And we're just going to make a bunch of pizzas. So I don't know how any of that is wrong. Anteras, how you doing? Thanks for the follow. Really appreciate you. Welcome to the channel. Thank you. A very fun month. Oh, yeah. What's the secret of your pizza dough? Ever plan to do pizza night with chat? Yeah. If I start my own restaurant, I will do pizza night. It's... Do I give away my secret recipe? Well, I may as well. You guys live in America. What the fuck can you do? But no, so one of the things that I do is more olive oil than what recipes will tell you. Fuck what the recipes say. You want a nice bit of olive oil in that thing, right? But then, the most important part is you take Italian herbs, or you can just take dried basil or oregano. Not basil, sorry. Oregano. Dried oregano, but Italian herbs works just as well. And you put that into the dough itself, and you work that into the dough. So you put it with the dry ingredients, and then also a bit of honey. So I don't like to use sugar. I like to use honey instead, because it just gives the dough a slight sweetness, but not as bad as if you use sugar. And it makes for a dough that on its own is phenomenal, thanks to the spices that's already in the dough. And then you put the toppings on top of it, and it just elevates it. It just makes it a million times better. So yeah. Do I have an aquarium? No, I do not. Having a girl and a boyfriend come over is how P. Diddy got started. Garion, it is nothing even close to that. It is nothing even close to that. The girl is having, like, she's studying, and she's much younger than I am. I think she's 21. And I think her boyfriend is 21 as well. But she's currently at her studies. She's friends with one of her friends is an atheist, another one is a Muslim, and obviously they have conversations, and she's not as well read on apologetics as I am. And so we've been having a number of conversations about how to answer the challenges that is thrown your way. So that's one of the reasons she's coming over, is to have conversations about that. Zekfir is some bad guy I never met due to being too tired to play before doing his delve. What the fuck? I can outcook most people, but I want to try that now. I make better pizzas than anywhere in my town, but I'm going to try that now. Mike, go for it. Trust me, you're going to fucking love it. You're going to love it, bro. Thank you very much for all the passion and effort you put into the community and chats. I really enjoy your videos. P.S. Thanks for the pizza dough tips. I got pizza night tomorrow. I shall try them. Eliza, let me know how it goes. I would love to know if it actually worked or not. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for coming out, for hanging out with me, for spending your time with me. I hope that, as always, you had fun, because I had fun. I always love hanging out with you guys. I will be back next week, Tuesday, over on Twitch. If you're not following on Twitch already, you should hit the link in the description down below. Come hang out with us. It's usually around this time for about 4 hours a day, where we just, chill, talk, either WoW lore or whatever the fuck else people want to talk about. Sometimes we play video games, but not often. I like to blue ball chat a bit with video games. So, if you care for video game streams, you're shit out of luck. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful weekend. Take care of yourselves. Be good to each other. Be kind to each other. And as always, love you. See you in the next one. Peace.